Alright, so this is part 2 of building this VRChat tutorial. In this part, we're just going to be taking this space and getting it ready in Unity, and we're going to set it up to be ready for PC and Quest. So part 1 was just building the space and UVing out in Blender, and this is what we made. So let's get this ready to go over into VRChat. All we're gonna do is, well, first, actually, let me go up here. I want to double check to make sure all my normals are facing the right way, so I won't be surprised when I bring it in into Unity. So I'm just gonna click this up here, go to face orientation, and everything blue is good, while red shows faces, like the back faces of things. And I edited this mainly with, or I modeled this mainly with backface culling on, so if there was any issues, there's a good chance that I would have seen it, but it all looks good. So I'm going to turn this off, and now I'm going to export it. So let's go to our folder, let's go to Documents, VRChat Worlds, Tutorial. These are our reference images, and I'm gonna put, let's go right here, FBX. And back in Blender, let's go to File, Export, FBX, and in our, let's find the folder we want to save it to, and we're going to save the small loft FBX right there. And that's it. When you bring it over into Unity, it should be scaled properly because we scaled it properly in here. So let's do that. So go to your Unity hub and create a new project. One thing you should know is, depending on when you're watching this, the Unity version that VRChat uses may have changed, and you will also want to get the most recent VRC Sdk. To figure out what Unity version VRChat is using, go to the VRChat website, sign in, go to Downloads, and you can find the newest VRC Sdk there, and it'll link you to the proper Unity version that you should be using. Right now, Unity is using 2018.4.20. I'm going to call this world small loft, and I'm going to find where I want to save it to. New volume, no, not here. I'm going to go to Documents, VRChat World, Tutorial, and I'm just going to make a Unity folder. I'm going to bring you right in here, and I'm going to create project. Something else you should note, that now VRChat uses 2 different types of SDKs. VRC Sdk 2 is the old system, which uses triggers, and VRC Sdk 3 is the Udon SDK, which uses Udon to build out the worlds. In this tutorial, I'm not going to be using Udon to build out the world. I'm going to be using the old VRC, the old VRChat trigger system. So that means I'm going to be using a VRC Sdk 2 and not VRC Sdk 3. And I'm going to bring in, both the VRC Sdk. So if I go to Documents, VRChat, I have the SDK already saved, which is right here, VRC Sdk 2. This is the, I don't know if this is the most recent. It's the most recent I have, and it should be fine. You should download the most recent, assuming you don't have an SDK version. So you can find this on the website. Like I said, just log into the VRChat website, go to Downloads, and you can find the SDK that you want to use. This one's VRC Sdk 2. I'm just going to double click it, and it'll load in here. And we'll just give that a second. Press Import. Alright, now the SDK is downloaded, let's bring in our FBX file. So let's go to our file where we save the FBX at, which is Tutorial, Assets, FBX, and I'm just going to bring this right in. Cool. So now we have it here. One thing I'm also going to bring is I'm going to go to assets, and I'm going to bring in this texture folders that we made. This textures folder, yeah, that we made and organize all of our textures in. So I'm just going to bring that right in because we'll need that when creating the materials in here. And we're just going to let that load, and then we're going to have to do some stuff to this FBX to make sure it comes into the scene properly. Now we have our textures in, and now we have this in. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on this FBX file of the space that we exported. Click on it, go over to the inspector, which is on the right side, and go all the way down and press Generate Lightmap UVs. I'll move this out just so you can see it. Generate Lightmap UVs. Press Apply. This is gonna create light map. It's gonna create the UVs for the light map, just like it says. So when we bake our lighting, everything should bake fine. That's not always the case. Sometimes there's issues with it since we didn't do it manually. But it's 7 out of 10 times it's fine. So what this is coming up with is the program recognized all of our textures that are normals, and it is asking if we want to convert them as normals in the program, and I will do that and press Fix Now. If you don't get this window out when you make the material and you bring the normals into the material spot, it'll ask you there. So we've generated lightmap UVs on our object, and we have our textures in. So let's go ahead, bring this over. I'm going to drag it over into the hierarchy, so that way it puts it at 0, 0, which is what I like to do. You always want your world to be, you want to build out from 0, 0, otherwise you're gonna, the further out you get from 0, 0, you'll run into issues that I'm not going to go into. So I need to do some manipulating in here. We're going to be adding materials and doing a lot of stuff. This when you export at FBX, it comes in as a prefab of everything that you model, just like it was in Blender. To undo this in 2018 Unity, you just right click on your prefab and let's press unpack prefab, and now we can go in here and manipulate anything we want. Let's start with these point lights because we don't really need it, and there's also a sun in here too somewhere, or maybe there's not, so let's delete that. Alright, this is the directional light in Unity, so that works. And here's the space. I'm actually going to delete this, and now there are no lights in the scene. Cool. So I like to try to keep everything organized. So in the hierarchy, I'm going to create an empty. I'm going to press F2 to rename, and I'm going to type lights, and I'm going to put all the lights I bring in right here. And let's go ahead and bring in another directional light. Going over into the inspector, we can change how this behaves. I'm going to add shadows, soft shadows. I like to take my indirect multiplier out because you're not going to see that until you bake lights. One thing I need to do first actually is right now by default Unity is set to bake lights by default. So once I set this from real time to bake, it's going to bake lights, and you'll see that with the loading bar in the bottom right. So to prevent that from happening, because I don't want to bake lights until I'm done setting lights, not everyone's like that, but that's how I do it. I'm going to go to Window, Rendering, Lighting Settings, which comes up over here, and I'm just going to uncheck Auto Generate. And let's go back into the inspector and finish out the settings for this directional light. So right now it's set to 1. I'm just going to rotate this until I get something I like. Because there's no back faces here, the light shines right through, which is a bit annoying, but coming in this way it should be fine. I'm going to turn this to bake, and I'm going to make this pretty dark and bring this down to like 0.25, maybe 0.1. Cool. And now we can start manipulating the things in here. What I like to, I like to get my directional light in here just so I can see a little bit. The next thing I like to do is add colliders. So right now, if you were to try to load into this space, you would spawn in and you would fall. Well, right now you can't spawn in because we haven't set the spawn point yet. But if you were to spawn in, you would just fall through the map because there's no colliders on there. So I'm going to select the objects that I want to put colliders on, like the floors and walls and stairs. And then I'm going to go over into the inspector. So we've got this floor, which is this plane object. We're going to press add component. Let's go to mesh collider, type that in, find it, and just add that. And now you can add this to every object you want a collider on. So I'm just going to go through here and put it on a lot of these larger shapes that I want people to collide with. There's one on there. Did I put one on there? Yep. I'm going to put it on the walls. I'm going to do something special for the shelves. So let's just keep adding colliders. And the ceiling, let's not forget about that. And I think that's good. We might find that we missed one somewhere, but as far as I can tell, I think it's okay. So for this is a shape that has, or this is a game object that has a lot of different faces, and you can, if you put a mesh collider on an object with a lot of polygons, it could end up lagging the space. So like, for example, in the black hat, I had merged together a lot of high poly couches that I've since remodeled, but at the beginning there were a bunch of high poly couches that were merged together, and I put a mesh collider on that, and so when you stood on the couches, your frames dropped to about 45 no matter what. It dropped by half no matter what. So if you have mirrors on and you stood on the couch, it would drop to like 25. So so instead of adding a mesh collider on here, I am going to, I mean, this shape honestly isn't that bad. It probably would be fine if we had a mesh collider, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to just add a box collider because that would be better, and it fits around this object pretty easily, and we now don't have to worry about our character clipping with this. It's pretty good. So I think that's sufficient for colliders. Let's bring in the spawn, and then we'll finish out lighting. So for spawn, we're going to want to go to the VRChat examples folder, go to prefabs 2, and find the VRC world. And if you press W, you can see it pointing. So I want you to come up here and look at this right here. Make sure this is set to local, because if it's set to local, it's going to show you which direction you're going to face when you spawn in. So your avatar, when this is set to local, and we can see the local position of the game object we have selected, the blue line is going to show you that this is the direction that you'll face when you log in or when you spawn in. So I want to rotate this to face inside the room, so I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees, press W, and now it is facing in here. And that's exactly what I want. Move it over just a little bit. Cool. Now, there's some more things we can do, like add jump. Let's go to add component. To add jump to your world, you're going to go to VRC player mods. And once again, this is using the VRC Sdk tools. It's different for Udon. I'm going to check this box, press add mods. I'm going to go, there's a bunch of mods here. I'm going to add jump and add mod. And now there's a jump power added. Oops. And the default is 3, so I'm just going to keep it there. If you look in here, you can change it to a bunch of different things and add some extra stuff to your world. But that's all I want to do there. I'm also going to, here if you see reference camera, I'm going to also go ahead and add this main camera as the reference camera. And then I'm going to go in here, I'm going to change clipping planes from 0.03 to 0.01. And basically what this means is, you know, when you put your hand close to your like face and your hand starts to disappear. This determines on like when that begins to disappear for your viewpoint. So I like to turn it as far down as I possibly can in Unity, and this makes it a lot easier. So if you have a small avatar, you don't have your like arms clipping in front of you because your camera is scaled so much. So I like to do that, and it should correspond with your viewpoint camera in game because we had set the reference camera to this camera. And we're going to be doing some more stuff with that with post-processing in a little bit, but right now that should be good, and we're going to leave that how it is. So before lighting, I actually want to do the material. So let's go back to the assets folder. Let's go to our textures, and we can just kind of go through this one by one. Bark. All right. So one thing that's important is to make sure you compress your textures. The most optimized way to do this is to bring in a compressed texture to begin with so that it's not 2.7 megabytes anyways. But you can go in here and select all your textures, and here we can change the max size to something else. You can also prioritize or do overrides for both Android and PC. So if you wanted 1024 by 1024 size textures for PC, you can do that, and have 512 by 512 for Android if you want. But I'm going to keep them all the same on everywhere, and I'm going to compress them to 512, and I'm just going to do that. So as we go through and make our materials, I'm going to go through and compress them as well. Like I said, the most optimized way is to compress them beforehand and bring them in. What this does is, I think the way I understand it is, the compressed texture is what gets loaded in your world. So like you're only loading, like, instead of the 2.7 megabytes, you're only loading the 200 kilobytes here. But your GPU is loading the full 2.7 megabytes, and that happens with everything that you bring in. So most optimized way is compress it beforehand, then bring it in. For now, I'm just going to be compressing it in here, and then bringing it over. So let's go to create material, and I'm going to type in bark. And is this the color? Yes. So let's bring this in. Most of the times I only use the normal and the color textures. So this is what I was talking about. It's asking to fix the normal map, and we're going to press that, and it should be good. This doesn't really need much of a shine. This is pretty simple, so that seems good to me. And I'm just going to bring this and make sure it goes on where I want it. I actually think I'm going to make this a bit darker. It's a bit gray for me. So here, let's choose another color. Let's bring it up to orange a little bit, and let's, oops. Maybe something like that. That looks good. Awesome. So there's our bark. So next we have black fabric. We can delete that because we don't need it. That's just the zip file with these. Let's select all of our textures. Let's compress them down to what we want them to be. And let's go right click, create material. And this is going to be black fabric. Cool. So we want this and this. Fix. I don't know how smooth I want this. Probably not smooth at all. I put this here, right? Yeah. I'm gonna bring the smoothness on this down a bit, and this is good for me. So let's go to black metal. Select all these textures. Let's compress it down to 512. Apply. Right click, create. Material, black metal. Let's go ahead and grab these, put them where they need to be, and I'm going to bring the smoothness on this up to like 0.95. That seems good to me, and I'm going to put this everywhere that I remember it being. Since this is a metal, I'm actually going to bring the metallic up quite a bit too. So yeah, it's already on there. Where else did I have that? Like right here. And I also had it down here, I believe. If there's anywhere else, I'm sure I will remember. And I forgot to join this book to the rest of the books. I will show you how to fix that in a second. Let's keep moving on with the materials. Book. Let's create. This is going to be pretty simple. Material. Book. Let's click that material. I mean, it's already pretty small. I made it 512 by 512, I think. Let's bring it in here. I actually don't want any smoothness on the book. And let's just go ahead and grab these. Oh, I forgot to UV this out also. That's okay. Oh, and that one. That's okay. I will show you how to fix that and bring it over afterwards. Actually, let's do that right now. I can show you how to do that. So, we have two books here that we forgot to UV. So, to do that, we just do our same process. Again, make sure I've got screen cap on. You can see what I'm doing in the bottom left. Let's go over to the UV editor. Let's press the decimal and the numpad to zoom in on the object we had selected. Tab to go into edit mode, and let's do what we did in the last tutorial where we just selected the parts and moved it to where they needed to go. So there's that. This is the book. Let's make this book blue. How about green? And now it's UV'd. So let's select these and join these to the other books, and now they're good. So now we have to replace the FBX file that's in here with the FBX file that we're about to export with the fixed issue. So let's go to File, Export FBX, and let's, instead of saving it here, I'm just gonna go directly into the Unity project in our assets folder and find where we saved it when we brought it in over here. So this file is the same as this file, as you can see. So let's export, and it's just going to replace. So when we go back to Unity, you're going to see that it's going to load the new FBX file, and that's what it's doing here. And this is just going to replace what we had just done. So let's take a look at that. And as you can see, the books have been updated. One thing you should note is it will only update the models in your scene that are already in your scene. So if you go to Blender and you add a new cube and then you save it as an FBX and then you go back into Unity to see the update, the new cube won't be there. You'll have to drag this back in and find the new cube. So yeah, that's important. So let's go back to textures and keep moving on. Brick. Let's right click, create material, brick, and then we're gonna bring this over. Actually, I should have a black and white. I'm gonna do that because I didn't really like this red that was in there. I would like to do something else, and I'm actually gonna bring the smoothness on the bricks up a bit. Not too high, or pretty high, 0.9. I like light shining off bricks. That's just like a personal thing. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't too big with the red color here, so I created this black and white texture just so I could manipulate what color I wanted in here. And I'm going to try to get closer to that beige that we saw in our reference photo. So actually, let's pull that up. So I'm going to try to get closer to this. And honestly, this might be it. It's a bit hard to tell because I don't have any lights in the scene. So we can come back to this. Did I compress this? I did not. So let's compress these before I forget. Go into the inspector, 512, apply. Perfect. And let's move on. Actually, I might want to put a height map on this. Let's do that. Let's click our brick material. Which one's displacement? I'm just going to do just a little bit, just to add a little extra to it. And that should be good. So, let's move on. Carpet. Let's select all of these. Go to max size. 512. Apply. Right click, create. Oops, what did I do? right click, create material, carpet, and we're just gonna bring what we need over. I'm also gonna put one of the height map here. Let's fix that. There it is. Hopefully this will make it look cool. I'm gonna bring down the smoothness on the carpet because I don't want that smooth at all. So let's get low down here. Let's check out this height map and see what it's doing. That's cool. You have to be careful, and we'll have to check this when we go in game and to test it. Sometimes the height map can like glitch out, and then it will create like this weird warp. Why that happens, I don't know. Sometimes it happens on some objects while other objects are okay. So it seems to me that it's something outside the material itself causing the issue. But also sometimes it's perfect. So this actually looks good. I'm going to bring the smoothness all the way down because it's carpet. So save that. Let's go to textures and move it on. So let's select these, compress them to 512, apply. And I'm only choosing 512 because that's what I like to bring it down to. That's a good size, I think. Create material, dirt, and I'm going to kind of do what I did with the bark. Is I'm going to make this like way darker. I'm also going to bring in the displacement map because height map on the dirt is pretty nice. So let's bring this in and let's make this dark. Perfect. I think that looks good. Let's bring this in. And I'm going to bring the smoothness all the way down because I feel like dirt shouldn't be smooth. And there we go. Let's move on. Alright, drywall. Let's create material, drywall, and select these. These actually, no, they're not compressed. So let's compress these as well. Not a little bit bigger than that. And let's bring these over. And like I had also mentioned, let's go back to that reference photo. I was going to try to make these beige, and I'm actually going to bring the smoothness on the up quite a bit. So like I said, I like when my like walls are shiny and got some reflection. So yeah, that's all the way up. Let's adjust the color on this just a bit. That feels really good. And then let's go back to the photo. The ceiling is the same color. Well, is it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's probably fine. Cool. And once we get lights in here, if there's something we don't like about like the UVs or anything, you can always go back to your Blender file and do exactly what we just did with the books, re-UV them or re-edit anything and re-export the FBX right directly into Unity and update the FBX. So let's go back here and we're just going to keep going with these materials. So this is gray metal. So let's go ahead, grab the right textures over. And there should be a roughness. These are actually probably fine. I'm going to bring the smoothness up on this a lot. I'm going to bring the metallic up quite a bit. And I got to remember to compress these. So let's compress that. And I'm going to put these where I remember I need them. The tables had them, and I think that's it. Was it anything else? Probably this table, probably. And I think that's it. So moving on, lamp fabric. Material, lamp fabric. This was the emissive. I believe. So let's go here, let's add this, and let's add that, let's add an emissive. Yeah, this is probably fine. I'm gonna bring this down by just a bit. Like, it's still enough to where it's clearly glowing, but it's not like so overwhelming. Cool. Can you see the material in this? Yeah. I like that you can see the material in it. I think that looks good. I don't know if I put the drywall material in there, so let's go back here, let's go here. Cool, let's go back to lamp fabric, make sure we compress these. So if you ever go to a world that's not that big but is like super large in terms of how much space it takes up, the main reason is probably textures, probably just not compressed textures. Which is why I try to push it so much, because it's super simple and it adds a lot. So let's go to leaves, create material, leaves. So for this one, we're not going to be using standard shader. We're going to go and use nature speed tree 8. And this is going to allow double-sided UVs. Let's fix now, and let's go ahead and put these leaves on where they need to go. So in here on two-sided, we're going to press yes. Makes that look way better. And sometimes I like to go in here and just add a little saturation to it. Can really make some leaves pop. Sometimes it looks unnatural, but in here I think it looks good. So let's remember, these probably don't need compressing. They're pretty small. So I'm just going to move on. Paint pot. Create material. Just gonna call it pot. Let's bring these these textures over, and let's remember to select them and compress them. So I'm just gonna press 512, and I'm gonna let that go, and it's good. I'm gonna keep that around there, and I'm just gonna drag these on. So as you can see, like, there's already a texture on this, and you've probably noticed there's like textures kind of already on a lot of this stuff. The reason why I'm kind of going over it, as you can see, it changes when I drag this on top. It's because what the materials that are on there to begin with are what were imported from Blender, and it's trying to recreate what we made in Blender in Unity. And I think if I just do it myself and fix it, and make the material myself, make it look how I want it, it's way easier. So that's what I do. So moving on, red fabric. We don't need this. I'm going to delete that. Yes. I'm going to right click, create material, red fabric. And we're just going to bring this over, bring the normal over, fix, and I'm going to bring smoothness all the way down, and this is pretty much good. And I think that's everywhere where that goes. So this is white fabric. Let's delete this, don't need that. Let's compress these. Did I compress red fabric? Let me double check. I did not, so let's do that. 512. Textures, red fabric. No, white fabric. Let's go create, that's right click, create, material, white fabric. And let's go ahead and bring this in. Is that color? Yes, it is. I'm gonna bring these down because we don't need them to be like that. And let's just drag these on to where they need to go. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's good. Let's create the next one. We'll have to make glass and then the gray reflective to kind of copy the mirror over here. We're gonna do right click, create, material, wood. Let's select this wood and compress it. I also like to make my wood really shiny as well, so let's grab these. Oops, let's make sure we select our material, drag the textures where they need to go. Let's bring the smoothness up real high. And let's drag these where the wood needs to go. Cool. One thing we missed was the gray metal in here. So there's a couple things we need to create. There's a couple more materials. So let's do the emissive material, which is just going to be this. Something like that. Oop, that's too much. Maybe something like that. So that should be everywhere. Yep. And I feel like we missed these. Oh, we also missed the gray metal on the door handle. Door handles. And we missed the black paint here. So we'll find some of those materials. I can't remember where they are. So let's just keep creating the ones we have out here, like glass. We're gonna make this transparent. Click the little color thing here, and you go to the alpha, and you just bring this down. I usually like to make it a little darker. And then let's go to smoothness and bring this all the way up, because it's glass. Sick. So let's go back to Blender because I'm curious about these textures. Let's make sure we can actually see it. Let's click this and let's click this to see where it goes. So it's texture, wood. Oh, I see. I remember what I did. Okay, so let's go back into our wood. Basically, I just did a plain color for the texture and then grabbed the wood normal and moved it on into the normal for the material. So I'm just going to take this and I'm actually going to duplicate it. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click the little dot next to this. So next to where we place this texture, and I'm going to type none. And then I'm going to click this, and I'm going to change the color to an almost black. And I'm actually going to take this down just a little bit. And then that should be good. And then I'm going to duplicate this again. But instead of it being a black, we're going to bring it up and it's going to be like a nice white. And let's bring this on the door and on the door frame. So, is there anything that we are missing? I don't think so. Let's bring in some more lights. So here I'm just going to right click on my light, press light, and let's bring in a point light. So let's drag this over, make sure it's in our scene. Oops. I'm actually going to take this. No. seems to be quite bright in here, and I'm not sure why. It's probably because of the skybox, actually, if I remember correctly. So this light looks cool. I want the skybox to be... Oh, I forgot I could do a couple things. So before I get to light, let's back up a bit. I'm gonna go to the asset store, and I'm gonna find a skybox. So I'm just showing you this so you know where to go. There's a bunch of free skyboxes in here. You can choose pretty much any one of them. I'm actually going to bring in my own. If we go to textures, let's create a folder. Let's call it Skybox. And I've got a super simple star skybox, which is just one image, and I use that one image as the 6 sides to my star skybox. So let me think of a world that has it in there. This world does. Assets, Skybox. And let's now create a material. Let's call it Skybox. And in here, we're going to not use a standard shader. We're going to want to use Skybox 6-sided cube. And let's just bring this in. One thing I like to do, or what you should do, is instead of having the wrap mode to repeat, change it to clamp. And honestly, with a pitch black almost skybox or image for a skybox, you wouldn't really notice what this does. But basically, sometimes you see a skybox and it has like the little white lines where you can clearly see like the cube. Doing clamp kind of gets rid of those, and this looks like this now. So now let's get back to this. So I'm going to take the indirect multiplier. This is just personal preference. I want shadows. I want the indirect multiplier to 0, and then I want to have a somewhat warm color tone to my light. So that seems good. And now I'm going to try to place this in a way that it makes it kind of believable that the light is coming from directly above. That seems good. Let's bring it down just a bit, and I'm going to take let's make sure we turn it to bake. Perfect. And now let's do this. So I'm just going into the top right here of the scene window, and I'm just hitting Y to get a top-down view. If I hit this little cube, it will give me the I forget what it's called, but it gives me this view. I'm gonna hit wireframe, and I was hoping I'd be able to see these, but it's kind of being dumb. So I'm just going to try to align it to where I'm still on top. That looks good. So Control D allows you to duplicate objects in Unity. So I have those lights selected. This is actually super big. That's fine. We'll fix them in a little bit. So I'm going to do Control D, and I'm just going to duplicate these lights and bring them to where I want them to be. Now this is probably going to make this room really bright, so let's just see how this turned out. Alright, let's go to the top left. Let's go back to shaded, and it is bright, but it's not too bad. The thing is, all these lights are a 10 range, and I don't want them to be that. What if they were like 5? What if they were like 8? This looks good. Maybe. What if it was like a 4? What if I turned off all these lights? The map is still pretty bright, so let's go here. Environment lighting, I'm going to do color instead of, so it was using the skybox. I'm going to turn this much darker. because I like things when they're darker. And now let's go back to lights. Let's go to the inspector, turn these back on. If you'll notice here, it's a bit easier to see now. You notice here, I just turned those lights back on, but it looks like only like a couple are shiny. The reason for that is because this amount of lights in this scene is actually maxing how many lights, different lights can interact with the single object. So to change that, right, I think the default is set to 3. To change that, you just go to Edit, Project Settings, Quality, and Pixel Light Count. I'm going to change this to something like 50. That's probably too high, but it works. So I'm going to select all these, make them bright, and this is all starting to look a bit nicer, a bit more cozy. These plants are kind of, not really liking them, to be honest. It's giving me a weird vibe. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to press global because it looks like that these objects are rotated in a weird way or oriented in a weird way. Let's not forget our dirt. And I'm going to bring these in here. Maybe bring it all the way back here. Let's do the same thing with this. How does that look? That feels better. Alright, so I still need to get a couple lights, one for over here and one for this corner. So I'm just going to duplicate that, and once again, that's just Control D. Control D duplicates, W gives me these arrow options, E gives me the rotation options, and R gives you scale options. You can't really scale lights, though. I'm gonna actually take off shadows here, so no shadows, and I'm gonna make the intensity something like maybe 1, and maybe 10 makes sense over here. So I think that looks good. I'm gonna duplicate this, Control D, and I'm just gonna bring this all the way up here and make sure we have this light working properly. I just went to the light, I just want to make it a bit warmer. This looks really good to me. I'm actually going to increase this quite a bit. 15. And that all looks very good to me. We forgot to make the copy mirror material, so let's do that. Let's go to textures. Let's just right click, create material, copy mirror, and this is just going to be like the gray that has super high smoothness and metallic. Maybe not that much metallic. There we go. And now it's got a somewhat nice thing, and I'll have a nice reflection of the space. So so it should look fine when the mirror is off, but that's where we're going to put the mirror. So now what? Now let's add a reflection probe. I'm going to go back to my lights in the hierarchy. I'm just going to right click, lights, reflection probes. So what reflection probes do is it saves the information of how this scene looks around the reflection probe, and then it's going to project that reflection onto game objects depending on the smoothness of the objects. So let's grab this. I'm going to press W. I'm going to bring this up a bit so I have this circle here. And I'm going to press this over here, and that's going to give me the options to manipulate it. Whoops. Let's double check. Hit that again. Let's bring this in. I'm going to bring it in more. One thing I want you to look at is we have this reflection probe. If I hit this and I grab it, you can see the black shelving kind of changes once you clip through it. Basically, once you clip through it, I think it'll like lose the reflection because now the reflection of what it can reflect is outside of the shelf. If you keep it in front, all of a sudden it has access to that data of what needs to be reflected on it. So just be careful of that. So I'm just going to center this like in the center of the room. There's really no need to clip any of the walls, and this looks good. So I'm just going to leave it, make sure it's on baked, but this is the default settings, and I think the default settings are okay. So now we have a reflection probe. Now what we should do is add a light probe. So what light probes do is basically once we bake the light into the scene, there will be no real lighting to light dynamic objects like pickups and avatars. To get that information, that light information, to light avatars, you need to put light probes into your scene. The light probes will save like the information depending on where each probe is, and depending on how close the dynamic object, or the dynamic object will be lit by the closest probe to it, based on the information at that spot. So let's just right click light probe group, and we can bring this in, and you can see each one of these yellow parts are probes. So let's bring this up, and you can also see it's got all these little purple lines. So I can click on each one of these and duplicate them and move them around. So I'm going to select these four, and then I'm just clicking, holding shift and clicking them, and I'm going to just shape this around the room. Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. And now let's grab that, grab this. Well, actually, let's grab these. Control D, Control, let's actually just do this. And do Control D, Control D. Nice. I'm going to select those four. Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. I'm going to select this, 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 this. I'll just select these 8, do Control D, oops, Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. This all looks very good, and I'm gonna select maybe these 4. I'll select these 2 as well. Control D, let's just bring it out right here. And this is probably good. So yeah, this is probably good for probes, so we can just click off of that, and now that's a thing. Cool. So yeah, so I think for lighting we're pretty much done and ready to start baking, but I don't want to bake yet. There's some other things I want to add before I do that. If you bake and then add new objects to the world, you'll have to rebake again if you want light to be baked on those objects as well. And sometimes when you bake and then you manipulate game objects that were in the space, you're going to mess up the bake, and you'll have to rebake as well in that instance. What we can do now is add some mirrors. I'm going to add 4 mirrors, a high quality and a low quality mirror here, and then a high quality and a low quality mirror here. So let's do that. The mirror is in the VRChat examples. Let's go to prefabs 2, VRC mirror. And I'm just going to move this, and I'm going to move it into place. Let's rotate it to make sure it's rotated the right way. And I made these little slits for the mirror to sit on. So let's get it to where we want it. This is really nice. So let's stretch this out. I'm just hitting W to move to get the arrows, and R to scale. W, R, W, R, W. Cool, now this is in place. This wood is not, or this brick is not doing it for me, so I want it oranger. About something like that. That could work. Alright, cool. We have this mirror. I'm going to create a new game object, and it's just to categorize. I'll call this mirror. And let's bring this in there. I'm going to create another game object underneath this called mirror 1. I'm actually going to drag this down there. And then I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to duplicate the mirror 1 game object with both of these mirrors. So now there's 4 mirrors sitting here. I'm going to press F2, and I'm going to rename this to mirror 2. And I'm going to grab this whole thing and move it to where I want it, what my second mirror to be at. So I'm just hitting W to get these arrows and E to get the rotation. W, so let's bring this over here. Let's bring this up. Let's press R to scale. Back to W. R to scale, W to move, and that should be more than enough. So cool. Now we can create some triggers to trigger that. So I'm going to create another game object. I'm going to call this one, press F2, trigger. And then I'm going to add 3D object. I'm going to add a cube. I'm going to press R to scale. I'm going to bring this down. W for the arrow keys. This cube is going to be the high quality mirror. I'm going to duplicate this by pressing Control D. This one's going to be the low quality mirror. I'm going to press actually, you know what, let's not use cubes. Let's use a UI system. UI system in VRChat or in Unity is a bit weird with setting it up for VRChat. So when you bring in a UI menu, it's going to come in giant. And you just got to rescale it and make sure that everything is proper. So let's go on here. Let's do create. Let's go to UI, and let's just do text because we're going to need that. So yeah, first thing you're going to want to do is go to your canvas, and you're going to want to make sure that it is set to world space and not screen space. I'm gonna change this to 1000 by 1000, and then I'm gonna scale this to 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. And you can think of this as how many pixels you want the canvas to be and how big each pixel is in the game engine. So I just made this a 1 meter cube. Right now it's sitting at the 600 by 328 position, and I'm just going to change this to 0, 0, 0. And now it's all the way in the front of the scene where we dragged in our object. Now if you go under the canvas and hit text, here's some options here. Right now the text is really small. I'm going to go up here, change the width to something like 800 to 200. By the way, I used to have to always go to Cyan Laser's tutorial for creating UI menus, and kind of got it down by now, but it's the process he shows in there in his tutorial on how I do it every time. Now, so let's change the font size to 100. Let's change this to like white, and let's just call this options. And you can bring in whatever fonts you want or whatever you want. Right now it's set to Arial by default, and I'm going to keep it like that. So we're going to create a few buttons in here. So let's just go ahead and create the first one, and then we can duplicate it with the unfinished triggers for the rest of them. So let's go to UI and hit button, and I'm going to change this to something like that. 600 to 150 I think is good. Under the button here we have text. I'm going to go, and for this I'm going to do HQ, high quality mirror, and our font size is super low. I'm going to change it to 100, and there we go. Make sure I click on button again, and I'm just going to bring this up and place it. So let's set this up. So first thing we need to do is make sure that the canvas is not on the UI layer. I put it on default. Yes, if you notice, there's not that many layers here, and that's because we didn't set up VRChat layers yet. Alright, so to set up the VRChat layers, we're gonna go to the VRChat SDK in the top here, which should be there after you imported the SDK. Go to Show SDK Control Panel. Let's go to Builder, and it's going to have this little error and tell you that your layers aren't set up. So let's set up layers. Let's do it. And let's set up the collision matrix. Perfect. And now if you hit this, you see all the layers that are required for VRChat. So canvas, make sure it is set on the default layer. Or it doesn't have to be default layer, but it's a good one to put it on. Also, you need the VRC UI shape. This allows you to interact with it in VRChat, and now it should work. If we go to our button, we need to set up the VRChat triggers, and doing it in a UI system is a bit different. Basically, come down here to the on click, press add. We're going to want to grab the button and bring it into here, and before we can select what we want it to do, this is basically saying what does this button do when you click it, and right now it's got no function. What we're going to do is we're going to press add VRC trigger, and we're going to bring that in. And now let's add a custom trigger, and now we can go here and press VRC trigger and execute custom trigger. And if you look here, it says execute custom trigger string. The string name is this. So I'm just going to do button, and then I'm going to copy this and paste it right there. And now we have an active VRChat trigger button. I'm going to duplicate this. Control D. Let's bring it down. I'm going to change the name. LQ, low quality mirror. And then I'm going to duplicate the button again. And then I'm going to go over here, W for the arrows. I'm going to hit down. This one is going to be our post-processing. Let's make this a bit smaller. There was something else that I wanted to toggle. I don't know, but if I remember, I will hit it. So right now we'll just deal with those. And obviously we haven't had the post-processing set up yet, but we will get that. So let's do this. E to rotate, and I'm going to hold control to lock it and W for arrows, and let's bring this over. I'm not really seeing this clip the wall. This has been happening lately where like I can't, well, it'll show the UI menu through the screen. I think if I hit play, it will fix. Yeah, there we go. Now I can see when it comes through. Oops, let's press play again. If you move things and do stuff in play, it won't be saved when you come out of the play mode. So this is good. Oh, I do remember what I was going to do next. I'm going to duplicate that button, and I'm going to press this down arrow, text, and I'm going to do BG background music, because we're going to add some music to this. Alright, so let's do these mirror triggers. Actually, let's duplicate this and bring it up. Actually, no. We'll just make the menu once here, then we'll duplicate it, and then we'll have to manipulate these buttons to work with this mirror up here. So the way I like to do mirrors is I like to, when you hit the one mirror, I like it to turn on one mirror and then turn off all the other mirrors in the world. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So mirrors should always be local. And actions, let's do basic action, set game object active. Let me go over to the hierarchy, drop down the mirror, and now I have access to this stuff over here. If we go to set game object active, since this is the high quality, the ones with 1 are the low quality ones, so I can bring this is the high quality. When you click it, it's going to toggle. So that's how you turn the high quality mirror on and off. But also when you click it, let's go to basic event, set game object active again. So this one, first it'll toggle the high quality one, and then I want it to turn off all the other mirrors. So I'm just going to drag the 3 other mirrors into this column. So when you click this, it's first going to toggle the VRC mirror, which is the high quality mirror, and then it's going to turn off all the other mirrors. And I'm going to do the same thing in this. So basic event, set game object active. This turns on the low quality mirror. We want to toggle it, and then we're going to go to basic event, set game object active, and then it's going to turn off the high quality mirror and then turn off the other mirrors. And let's make sure that's set to false. So there we go. That's the mirror options. So post-processing and background music. We don't have either of these in here yet. So let's add background music real quick. So let's go to create folder. Let's right click create folder in the assets folder. Let's do music, and let's double click this, and let's go find some music. Let me check to make sure audio is set up. Now you should be able to hear this. So I have a list of music here. All this is from the YouTube copyright free or the royalty free song list that they have for creators. So I just took some of the things that I liked, and I got some sound effects here. These sound effects came from freesounds.org, which is you just make an account at freesounds.org and you can download any sound effects there. I'm just going to be focusing on one of these songs that I've downloaded, and I'm just going to pick one. I used that before in another world. I just used this in another world. Either sounds good, so let me turn this down again. And I'm just going to drag this into my scene and let that load. Audio usually takes a bit to load. One thing what I'm going to do is for when I forget why this is better, but I was told to do this by people who know more than me. Since this audio track is going to be looping in the space constantly, I'm going to be setting this to streaming. I'm going to press apply. Perfect. And then I'm just going to drag this in here. And if you look, let's make sure it's set to loop. I'm going to make the volume 0.1, and then It's a spatial blend 2D, so it should play everywhere in the world. So that's cool. Now, since we have music in the world that's on a loop all the time, we can go here, press BG Music, and we can go to our VRC trigger, basic event, and let's do set game object active, and let's bring in our music choice here and press toggle. So now that's set up. Before we bring in the post-processing, I should have gone through and fixed these mirrors first. So let me choose both of the high quality mirrors. So if you look over here in the mirror reflection script, you see something here called reflect layers, and that corresponds with these layers. We're going to choose what layers that the mirror reflects, and so all your game objects are on one of these layers. Everything's pretty much usually on default. If you have pickup objects, they get put up on the pickup option. Player local is you, player is other players. For mirror reflection, you'll always want mirror reflection on, and yeah, that's pretty much everything. I mean, there's other things in here that do things, but we don't need to get into any of that right now. So to begin, by default, mirrors have like everything set. So this is the high quality mirror, so I'm going to put default, so I'll see the rooms. I'll see everything in the room. I'm going to do player because I want it to show the other players, and I'm going to do player local because I want to show you in the mirror. Then I'm going to press mirror reflection because I think you need that if you want to see reflections, and I'll do pickup too, so you see any pickups, and we'll do a couple pickups. That's why I didn't merge the pillows together. We'll make those pickups. So yeah, that's the high quality mirror. So let's by the way, I selected both of these by hitting them and then holding control, not shift, because shift, if I held shift, it would select everything, but if I just held control, it will do that. So let's select this, hold control, select this. Let's go to reflect layers. I'm just gonna hit nothing to begin with. For the low quality one, I'm just gonna reflect the player local, and mirror reflection. So yeah, that should work. So these mirrors are set, so I'm just gonna select both of those and uncheck them. And when we click this, it will activate these game objects corresponding to whatever button you press based on how we set up the triggers. So let's go to post-processing before we copy this menu over there. So let's go to Window. To find post-processing, it's in Unity now, so just go to Window, Package Manager. And in here, we just need to go to post-processing. Where is it? Right here. Install. It's pretty simple. So once that's installed, it's still installing, never mind. So once that's installed, are you done? Alright, cool. Once that's installed, let's go back. Let's go to your main camera. What you're going to want to do is you're going to press Add Component, and let's do Post-Processing. You're going to want to create a post-processing layer in your main camera. Let's set a layer. Let's do water. It's usually the layer I like to go with. Make sure this is set to no anti-aliasing. I think that's pretty important because if you don't, I think you can mess up the VR view. So make sure it's just no anti-aliasing, and double check to make sure that in reference camera it is referenced to the main camera. And the way you do that, we did that earlier where we just took the camera and we dragged it over and then we put it in there. So now in the main camera we have post-processing layer, which is cool. Let's go to create empty. Let's press F2. Let's call this post-processing. And in this empty game object, we can go to add component, post-process volume. Let's do is global to affect the entire world. And we can create a new profile by pressing new. Because we had set the main camera layer to water for this, we're going to want to make sure that it's corresponding with that. So hit the water. Let's add effect for this new profile. Let's add a little bloom, and it's going to be super small amount, but as you can see, our post-processing is having an effect in the world. So I'm going to do a super small amount of 0.5. And then I'm going to add a new effect. Let's do color grading. I'm not going to do much here. You can do some play around with different things in here. Neutral seems cool. It seems to balance some things out. And then let's do some saturation. Ugh. Maybe just a little bit. Here, this seems good. It's super subtle. I usually don't do a lot of post-processing, but you can play around with all these. But yeah, let's go back to our menu and let's make sure you can toggle that on and off. One thing I'm noticing is I forgot to change these. Let's make sure our triggers are set to local. Local is just meaning it's not, when you do it, it's not going, other players aren't going to see what you clicked. It's only going to happen for you. Each one of these does something else, and it seems like they added some more. But for all of these, for this use case, we're gonna set them all to local. All right, so here's the post-processing one. Let's go to add basic event, set game object active, and let's grab this post-processing and bring it right over. And let's make sure it's set to toggle. And now our UI menu is complete. So I think it's a bit big, so I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna press R, and I'm just gonna scale it down a bit, and I think that's fine. Let's press W. Let's duplicate this whole canvas. I'm gonna do Control D, and let's bring it over, bring it up. Let's press E so we can rotate it. Hold Control to snap. W for the arrows, and let's bring it to a spot that makes sense. Let's bring it right there, and now we have some mirrors here. So let's fix these triggers to correspond with these mirrors and not the mirrors down there. So this one is supposed to toggle the high quality mirror for upstairs, which is mirror 2, which is this one. So let's bring that over, and then let's go to the second one, which turns them all off, and drag all the other mirrors in here. I suggest renaming your mirrors to be different things, otherwise it's going to be confusing. This is pretty simple, so I'm not going to do that. So this is going to turn on the low quality mirror for upstairs, which is this one, in mirror 2. And then I'm going to drag all the other mirrors into these so that they don't get turned on. They'll be turned off. So yeah, now we can go and turn this off. If you notice, your mirrors are white. I don't know why that happens, but it doesn't seem to break anything. Seems to be fine in game. Sometimes they break. I don't know why. Cool. So now we have a lot of stuff done. The next thing to do is let's add some pickups. I'm going to bring these objects. I'm going to take all the dynamic objects I want, and I'm going to bring them out of this game object. I'm going to create a new one, F2. I'm going to call this pickup. I'm going to select these pillows, and then I'm going to grab them and just bring them all the way to the pickup so they're separate. And I'm going to go into each one of these and add a collider. So basically we're setting these up so that people can pick them up. The collider gives the game, it tells the game what area can the player interact with. So we put the box collider on there. We're saying you can interact with this area. So now let's add the pickup script, the VRC pickup script, and you'll get this. There's a lot of options here. Auto hold, if you tick this to yes, it means when you pick it up, you won't automatically drop it if you let go. Use gravity, pretty explanatory. Is kinematic, I'm going to check this. Basically what this means is if you pick it up and you let go, it'll stay in space. Without that checked, it would fall and it would use gravity, and it would use the other settings in the rigid body script. So let's go to this one, add the pickup. I'm going to check kinematic, and let's go here. Let's do pickup, and I'm going to check kinematic. And now what we need to do is add object sync. So basically this allows other people to see what you're interacting with. So on each one of these, we're going to need object sync applied to. Otherwise, you'll pick something up and someone else in the world won't be able to see that you picked that up. So now these objects are good to pick up. Now we can go to bake lights. One thing that's important to bake lights is lights. Well, first off, you should know it's important to bake lights. If you don't bake lights, number one, your world won't really perform well. It won't perform like at all on Quest, and it will be incredibly laggy in VR. So if we go to game here and we go to stats, you can see that there are not that many batches because it's a super small world. But basically what's happening is when light reflects off of each game object with each material, it's adding draw calls to each one and increases this. This world actually wouldn't be lacking with real-time light. It might flash, the real-time light might flash in and out. Sometimes you'll get that. Overall, it's just a bad experience, so don't use real-time light unless you have to. So let me, let's set up this bake. One thing we didn't do is we never set any of these objects to static. Bake lights only bake onto objects that are static. Now we took all the dynamic objects out of this world, or out of this game object right here, and we moved them into this pickup one. So everything left in here needs to be static. So I'm just going to select this top part, go to the inspector and press static. It's going to say, do you want to enable static for everything in here? And we're going to press yes, change children, and now everything is a static object and cannot be moved in game except for the ones that aren't static that we kept off. So now we can bake lights. So let's go to the lighting options. If you don't have this, you go to window, rendering, light settings. I'm going to change some options here. For environment reflections, I'm going to change it to custom, and I'm going to change it to this reflection probe after we bake it. We changed environment lighting already to be this ambient color. Light map resolution 10 is good. Oh, I'm going to change this to enlighten. Seems to be easier sometimes. I only use progressive if things are screwing up, but I mean there's pros and cons to using different ones, but that's as far as I'm going to go into it for this tutorial. Light map resolution 10 is good. Light map status 512 is good. I even sometimes compress to 256. The light maps in the black hat are actually 256. So I always take indirect intensity all the way down. I only do that is because you don't see indirect intensity until after you bake, and most of the time I don't really see a need to mess with it, so I always just take it down. But that's a personal preference. If you bake lights and it's super like shiny after you bake, it's probably because your indirect intensity was too high. But basically that seems like that's everything I want to do. So I'm going to press generate lighting and let it bake. So basically you just have to wait for it to be done. You can see down here in the bottom right, this is showing you the baking progress. So we're just going to let this go and hopefully nothing screws up too bad. So the bake finished. It didn't take that long because this world is not that heavy. So this is what it looks like after the fact. I think it looks pretty good. one thing that I notice the most is the doors, which sometimes shadows like that happen. There's no real good way to manipulate that and fix that unless you create like you manually make your light maps. One thing that I like to do sometimes if you do have issues with bake, I'm going to leave this as it is. It seems fine to me. I'm actually okay with this. One thing you can do is you can change your light map parameters. So one thing I noticed, so if you right click in the asset folder, go create, let's go down to light map parameters, and that's going to just automatically be renamed to new light map parameters. Go into the inspector, and one thing I change is the system tag and the bake tag. Now, why do I change those? Because I read an article on baking, and that's what it said to do when I was having a specific issue. Basically, as I understand it, and I could be wrong because light maps kind of get confusing to me, but as I understand it, is that will like spread out how the light map UVs are arranged when you bake. So it will prevent overlapping in some dark spots. It won't always fix it. So let's go to lighting. The way you apply these new settings is you go down to right here, light map parameters, and we would pick the new light map parameters, which is what we just created right there. But like I said, I'm gonna keep this for how it is. I like it. It's fine. My space is much different than the render or than the reference photo, but it's fine. It looks good. Let's bake occlusion. So occlusion is basically this will save the information on how it shows you game objects in the scene when you're playing. It will determine what is shown depending on where you're facing, and I'll show that. So usually the default settings are good, so that's what we're going to use. Just come down here, go to bake, and you can see things disappeared. And that's because our camera is somewhere over here. Right now we're in the visualization tab, and this is just showing us reference on what we're seeing in the game, and what is actually happening in the scene in terms of what's being shown. So as you can see, as long as you can see it in your frame, it gets shown. So that's cool. This looks good. My camera's all screwed up now, but that's fine. So yeah, this is ready to go in game. So let's upload it. So to upload, we're going to want to do VRChat SDK, show control panel. Let's go to Builder, and let's press Build and Publish for Windows. Alright, now you will come to this. You can see we went from like 800 something batches down to 80. It's not really 87, it's probably a bit more than that. That's kind of just based on what it's seeing here, but it's way less than what it was. Let's call this Loft Apartment Thingy Tutorial. You can put in whatever you want here. I'm just going to press this, and let's change this image to something a bit better. Basically what you do is you go back into the scene setting. I wonder, can you hear this? There you go. When it's in play, you can hear the music that's playing in the background. So to change this image, go back into the scene. You now have a game object in here called VRC Cam. So just hit that, press the W for the arrow keys, and bring it over. Let's move this out of the way so we can see the image it's creating. And let's bring this over here. E to rotate. And let's do something like this. How about that? That looks good. Yeah. And just press upload, and then since we're on PC, it should upload perfectly fine. So just give that a second and it should be good. Alright, so after it's uploaded, you'll see, let's make sure that I'm recording. Okay, yeah. So after it's uploaded, you'll see this, content successfully uploaded. So let's X out of this. Now we can go in game and look at it, but we're not going to do that yet. I want to upload this for Android build, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's Quest. There's a couple things you should know about Quest. Quest, there's certain shaders and things that don't work on there. I don't have any of those shaders in here. They recommend, 50 draw calls total and 30,000 polygons for worlds or something, or 50,000 polys for worlds. This is way above that. All of my worlds are way above that, but it usually seems to be okay. I don't have any shaders in here that are a problem. What I do have in here that's a problem is this reflection probe. What we forgot to do is we forgot to add, if we go to scenes and go to sample scene, since this scene is called sample scene, this is in here. Let's go to lighting. Let's grab this and bring this in here. Now we got reflections. I'm actually going to upload to PC again because I forgot to add the reflections. Yeah, having this in here is, this reflection probe in here is important. We'll get to Quest in a second. Let's re-upload this. So builder, build and publish, and then you just go through that same process and it'll upload. So as you can see, it says the same thing. It's got all your information there. The reason how I can save this, if you go to VRC World Game Object, go to the inspector, you can see you have a blueprint here now, and this is like your saved file. And if you try to upload anything to this blueprint, it will overwrite this world. So, and we want this world to be overwritten with what we're about to upload now. So I'm just going to press upload and let it do its thing. So now that uploaded again, and we should be good. Now let's get this ready for Quest. So what you need to do is switch from the PC mode to the Android build version of Unity. The way you do that is you go to File, Build Settings, and then we're going to want to check Android. And for some reason it's saying that it's on there, which it was not. Let's go to the website and actually double check that it uploaded properly. See, it quickly, that moved over really fast. I think it was definitely on the PC version. So let's just log in here. Let's go to Worlds, My Worlds. Let's go here. Platforms, Windows. Okay, so it was uploaded properly. So click Android. If you don't, it might say you don't have this downloaded. So there should be a download link for you to download it. So just download the Android build of Unity. And once you have that, you'll be able to click this. And then you can go and press Switch Platforms. And then it'll compile a bunch of stuff, and it'll probably take a minute. So just let that run, and then when it's ready, we can come back and make the proper changes necessary for Quest. Alright, so loading bar disappeared. It says that we are on Android, and if you look up the top, it also says we're on Android right there. So the scene looks a bit different because we're on Android, mainly with the lighting. So some things that don't work with Quest is post-processing. So let's turn that off. Just checking it off in the thing is sufficient enough. Another thing that doesn't work on Android is reflection probes. So you don't want any active reflection probes in the scene. So we can turn it off here. But if you go to lighting and you see we have that same reflection probe here, that's actually fine. You can keep that there. The other thing is all lights need to be baked, which they are. And I think that's pretty much everything that needs to happen to work on Quest. You can see on what the lighting looks like on Android. It's pretty bad actually, but it's fine. This is fine. So I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? There is a hard limit for VRChat for Quest, which is 50 megabytes. So, which is why the overrides for PC and Quest can be very useful if you need something to be in. Like, for one example is I have a world I did that has several GIFs in it, and they were just way too big for Android. So on Android, I compressed them down way, like, a lot, so that the world would fit in game. So, but everything in here seems to be good, and this should be ready to post on Quest. So all you do is you make sure it's assigned to the same blueprint. You go to VRChat show control panel, and it's just the same thing. You just upload it again on the same blueprint, and then there'll be two versions of the world under the same blueprint. If a Quest person joins, they'll see this version, and if a PC player joins, they'll see the first version we uploaded. Alright, so here we are. We can see all of our information has been saved from the last time, and we can press this button and double check we are on the Android build of Unity and press upload. Alright, and now both of those are uploaded to the game. And if we want to make changes to the PC mode, all you have to do is go to build setting, hit PC and Linux. It's doing that weird thing again. Alright, yeah, hit PC and Mac and switch platforms and just let it go. And then you'll be back on PC, and then you can just turn back the things back on that you turned off, and you should be good. We are going to do one more thing. We are going to download a video player and put it in the world. But before we do that, let's go in and test the world to make sure we don't have to change anything. So if we go to worlds, we're in VRChat now, by the way, as you can see. If you go down to, scroll all the way down in worlds, go to mine, and you can see the last world you uploaded right in the front there. So you can see that we compressed it down to 12 megabytes, and can fit 8 players. Invite, let's go check it out. And this is the space. One thing you should note is my avatar is a bit small, so let's go to something a bit normal. So this is like a normal height avatar. So door handle's a bit tall, but it should be fine. The mirror looks good. Okay, mirror, IQ, post-processing, on and off. Turn the music up. Should be able to hear it. Let's see if let's turn this up. It seems like you can't see, you can't hear the audio coming out of the computer for some reason. But that's fine. The music is playing and it's pretty good. Here's our little bush things that we made. Ooh, one thing we forgot to add is chairs. So we can fix that. Let's go up here. We have the bed. So yeah, everything seems to work good. We can even look at our books over here, see how those turned out. These also look pretty good. I like it. Okay, we also forgot to add the emissive to that. So yeah, this world, seems pretty good. My mic's just not working on 5. I don't know why. Probably need to restart. But you should be able to hear me through my other thing. Alright, so let's go back in Unity. Let's add the video player, the chairs, and the emissive material to that. And we also probably missed the emissive material to this. Yep. This world is much different than the reference photo we used, which I think it's funny. It's okay. It looks good. Alright, let's go make those changes. Still here. Okay, so we are in the PC version of Unity again. So let's make sure we toggle back on everything that needs to be in the PC version. Let's go to lights and turn our reflection probe back on. And let's go to what else do we have to turn off? I think that was it. So yeah, let's add chairs. I'm going to create a new game object. Let's do 2 VRC chairs. And then I'm going to go to assets. We need to go to the VRChat examples, prefabs, VRC chairs, and I'm just going to add that right there. Let's see, where did that take my chair? All the way out here. So I'm just going to put a couple around the couch. And I'm just going to place them. So W to get these arrows, and then E to get the rotation. Control D to duplicate. E to rotate. Let me select both of these and bring them down just a bit. So let's go to this one, back it up. Control D, duplicate. Control D. Now let's go over here, and we want to get rid of these ugly cubes. So go to chair base and chair back on each one of these. Hold Control and select all of these, and then we can go over here and under mesh render we can get rid of those, and now we won't see them and the trigger system works with them. Now let's add the emissive material we had forgotten about. Everything we're doing right now actually doesn't require us to bake again. Sometimes when you got to move things around, you'll have to end up baking lights again. Here we are actually good. So let's go to textures, and let's take this and let's put that where it needs to be, and let's put this where it needs to be, and there we go. Now let's add the video player. So for video player, I don't know where the public link for this is, but in my Discord it's under free stuff. This is the public prefabs group spreadsheet where people in the prefabs group upload their prefabs that they have available to everyone. So we are going to find one of the many video players on here. I like to use well, actually I don't like to use video players at all, to be honest, but that's okay. I think it's called Aizawa or something. I'm going to do Control F to find Aizawa. Video. Alright, I remember. It's called the video player. I like to use the Iwashi video player, and so let's hit this link and let's go ahead and download zip. Download zip. And let's bring it into our project. I'm just going to save it there. Let's go to show in folder and extract files. And here it is. So let's go here. I'm just going to go back to my assets folder. I'm just going to drag this in. And I shouldn't have done that. Let's actually delete that. Let's go back here. There's a Unity package in here. So just go in there and double click and import. And now we have this thing. Let's read. Cool. I don't speak Japanese. I remember there being issues with the second one. So I'm just going to bring this one in. So somewhere in here there are... Maybe it's in here. Yeah, it's this one. Alright, let's delete this. Use 2.2. Oops. Did not mean to do what I just did. I just hit the number. So let's press E so I can rotate, hold Control to lock it. And press R to scale, and then we're going to go in here. And then I'm going to move this over there. Let's actually scale this a bit more. And let's move this into place. So, when you click on this, it spawns some things to like, that where you can enter information in. So to have this spawn, like when you click video and live, to have this work, you actually need to set this up as dynamic prefabs. And the way you do that is basically you're just telling the game that these objects exist and will need to be spawned at certain points when activated. So just go to VRC World and under dynamic prefabs, click down. We're going to have 2 of them. They're right here. So let's highlight that, press 2, press enter, and just bring each one into here. And they should work. This should work as intended on the next upload. Now, let's upload. And to update Android, same process, just go to File, Build Settings, hit Android, switch platform, and then make sure you get rid of the post-processing. Just turn off the game object and turn off the reflection probe game object and upload the exact same way. The thing you should know though, this video player is not going to work on Quest, so I would actually recommend just disabling the video player on Quest so that they didn't have to deal with that. So let's go and press VRChat show control panel and builder, and build and publish for Windows. So here we are, and let's upload. And I'm gonna move to VRChat so you can see the results of what we just did. So we got that message in Unity saying it was uploaded. I did not mean to press that. It was uploaded successfully. So let's go back down and let's scroll all the way to the mine section. Let's click it and let's check it out. Yep, here it is. There's the video player. You just select what you want. Mirror works. I can pick up the pillows. I can take a seat. That looks normal. And yeah, that's the world. So I think I'm going to stop the tutorial here. I hope this was helpful. If you need help with anything, you can comment. I usually get an email if anyone comments on any of my videos. And or you can join my Discord, which there's a link below, and you can just message me personally or message the help section in the Discord. Doesn't really matter, it's up to you. So I'll help with anything. So I hope this was useful. And yeah, I guess that's all I got. Bye.